October 18th, 1 Kings 21, 1 Thessalonians 4, Daniel 3, and Psalm 107. Let's go to Daniel chapter 3, when we read about one of the more significant stories of the Old Testament that if you went to church as a youngster, this is one of those highlighted stories. But it's really a story that's not just for Sunday school, right? It's a story that's very applicable to any age and any life, any follower of Christ. So it begins with Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, making this image and desiring that everyone would bow down to him via the image when the music plays. And so he's got these helpers, these guys that are going to enforce the law, if you will, who say in verse 9, they declare to King Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. It's a saying. You, O king, have made a decree that every man who hears the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast into a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom you have appointed over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these men, O king, pay no attention to you. They do not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. They're not doing what you told them. So Nebuchadnezzar, in furious rage, commanded that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought. They brought these men before the king. And Nebuchadnezzar said to them, Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image that I have set up? Now if you are ready when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music to fall down and worship the image that I made, well and good. But if you do not worship, you shall immediately be cast into a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands? So Nebuchadnezzar is aghast. He's shocked that any would defy him, and any governor of his, those in positions of leadership, wouldn't go along with the plan and wouldn't worship the image. And so he's given them the opportunity, and he makes the remark, and who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands? So quickly Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If this be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. Our God can save us. But if he doesn't, we're still not going to worship your images and your gods. And that's the line that we need to have in our culture today. No matter what, we're not going to worship the cultural expectations and going along with those things. We're going to only worship God, and if he chooses not to deliver us, we'll take whatever the consequences are, right? And that should be our heart's desire. But here's how Nebuchadnezzar responded. He was filled with fury, and the expression of his face was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and he ordered the furnace heated 7 times more than it was usually heated. And he ordered some of the mighty men of his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. These men were bound in their cloaks, their tunics, their hats, and their other garments, and they were thrown into the burning fiery furnace. Because the king's order was urgent and the furnace overheated, the flame of the fire killed those men who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell bound into the burning fiery furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar was astonished and rose up in haste. He declared to his counselors, Did we not cast 3 men bound into the fire? They answered and said to the king, True, O king. And he answered and said, But I see 4 men unbound, walking in the midst of the fire, and they are not hurt. And the appearance of the 4th is like a son of the gods. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the door of the burning fiery furnace, and he declared, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out and come here. And then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out from the fire. And the satraps, the prefects, the governors, and the king's counselors gathered together and saw that the fire had not had any power over the bodies of those men. The hair of their heads was not singed, their cloaks were not harmed, and no smell of fire had come upon them. Now, if you've just been at a campfire, You're going to wash your clothes because you smell, and you're going to shampoo your hair because you stink of smoke. These guys were in a fiery furnace. There's not a singe, there's not anything, no smell. Nebuchadnezzar answered and said, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants who trusted in him and set aside the king's command and yielded up their bodies rather than serve and worship any god except their own God." It's pretty remarkable. And it's really the call for the Christian today, which we see in multiple places in the New Testament, but one of the ones is Romans chapter 12. "I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." We are to be living sacrifices. In Acts chapter 14, verse 26, "And from there they sailed to Antioch, where they had been commended to the grace of God for the work that they had fulfilled." They were given under to, they were surrendered for and to the work of the Lord. They were surrendered to Jesus for the things that they did, Paul and Barnabas. That's what we need to have. That's what we need to desire, to surrender ourselves. We're called in 1 Peter living stones. We are being built up as a spiritual house. We are a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that we may proclaim the excellencies of him, 1 Peter 2, verse 9, "who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light." Like so, because we're part of a spiritual house, because we're sacrificially surrendered to Jesus, we're giving up of our lives for him because of what he's done for us, we get to be useful in the hands of the Master. And no matter what happens, whether it's death or other things, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we will not bow, we will not serve other gods, only the Lord our God. Till next time, keep growing little by little.